Maybe you're wrong by not seeing what is very blunt truth, that if the United States would cave in to Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz pathway and the terror ring that it created in the Middle East, maybe it would be even worse for any citizens in the world, not only in Israel, but also in the United States. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. He said that the United States would have been in danger. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't believe Donald Trump. And I also think, as an Israeli, you should pause before using the phrase terror regime, since you live in a country that just murdered thousands of children in Gaza. We should all pull back a little bit on the rhetoric that. I'm not defending Iran, but I'm just saying
even the fact
terror
that you want
regime,
me
it's a little hard to hear that from an Israeli right now, I have to say.
That you want me to make an equation between democratic government that's acting, maybe not to your taste, but from self-defense, to a terror regime in Iran that is terrorizing its own citizens, that hanging people, gay people from cranes, with the Islamic extremist Sharia, to a democratic country that's abide by international law of self-defense. It's ridiculous. Do you think that Israel and Iran is on the same equation? Really?
I don't think Israel and Iran are the same.
That's what you're saying.
By many measures,
this is
they're
exactly
not.
why.
Let me. I can totally
this
happy
is why
to
people
tell you what I'm saying, which is
that
this.
you're targeting only Israel, and by that.
Well, of course, I'm not targeting anybody. I don't have a military. I'm a podcaster, so I don't target people. What I'm saying is true, which is Iran's behavior, the government of Iran's behavior, is in some cases disgusting to me and immoral. But the behavior of the Israeli government in Gaza is disgusting and immoral. And of course, Israel's not a democracy in any sense. There are millions of people who live under Israeli control who cannot vote, right? And so if the West Bank, Judea and Samaria and Gaza, or whatever we're calling these places, which Israel has controlled since 1967, have people living in them who have no control over the government that controls their lives, which is true, it's not a democracy. So let's just drop the talking points. I agree with you on self-defense. I don't think killing children is self-defense. It never will be. And no amount of recounting the legitimate atrocities of October 7th will ever get me to accept this behavior from the Israeli government, from the US government, from the Iranian government, or any government. It's always wrong. And Israel doesn't like to acknowledge the existence of universal principles that apply to everyone equally. That's why they're principles, not preferences. And Israel, again, which I've always liked as a country, has a lot of civilized, decent people living there to this day, has to acknowledge that principles are universal. They apply to everyone, even you, even me. My government, your government, every government. But you won't acknowledge that. It's always like, oh, Iran's bad. Yeah, Iran's bad. But your behavior is bad too.
I'll tell you something. There's a journalist that critiques our own government. I'm using your phrase to make it accurate. You said the people don't have any control in Judea, Samaria, and Gaza. Well, this is false. They have the Palestinian Authority. They control the lives, and Israel controls the security. Israel, for times after time, the last 30 years, said to the Palestinians, let's have peace, let's have agreement, from the Oslo agreement to the to other agreements. All the time, the one that targeted and succeeded in stopping the peace process was Hamas, that funded by Iran. But I want to go back to your claim.
May I ask you to pause for 1 second?
Yes.
I'm not defending Hamas or Iranian funding of anti-Israel.
Like when you're saying Hamas and Iran is like Israel, it seems like you're giving some kind of a blind spot to the differences between terror organization and a state.
Well, Israel does commit terrorism and brags about it. Setting off pagers in the pockets of people when you don't know who those people are is terrorism.
They know who they are. They're Hezbollah terrorists. And this is what countries doing to defend themselves.
No, that is not true. That is what you're saying is not true. Israel did not, the morning that it detonated those pagers, know who was holding the pagers. And people who committed no crime.
There were pagers of Hezbollah terrorists, unless you are not acknowledging Hezbollah as a terror organization. Do you think maybe it's some kind of a party, like the Democratic Party, I don't know, or the Republican Party?
Right, I'm not defending Hezbollah. I'm merely saying that terrorism is, let me define terrorism, and then we can apply that standard to everybody, including Israel and the United States. When you kill innocent people, and you do so knowing you're going to do that in order to strike terror into people or to push people back, that is terrorism. So any government that does that, or any person who does that, is committing terrorism, period. And again, these are universal standards that apply to everyone. That is not anti-Semitism to apply a standard universally to every human being. That's all I'm doing. And I'm merely saying, look, this is not good for us, for the United States and for the rest of the world.
So when ICE in the United States trying to back off people, this is terrorism?
When any government kills innocent people on purpose,
which is trying to make fear and terror on immigrants to the United States, is that terror in your eyes?
Fear and look, if anyone in ICE or the U.S. government or any government is punishing someone who did nothing wrong in order to inspire fear or influence other people to do or not do something, that is an act of terror, whenever it happens.
Why do you say when?
Give me a specific
you live in the United States. You know better than me about...
well, I don't actually know what you're talking about.
What happened in Minnesota, what happened in other places. Do you call it terrorism? Or maybe it's excessive use of force, which is something different than terror.
It is wrong to punish people who did nothing wrong. It's wrong in Gaza. It's wrong in southern Lebanon. It's wrong in Minneapolis. It's wrong everywhere all the time. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Okay. But using phrases like terror state don't make the truth clearer. They obfuscate the truth. They muddy the truth. They make it harder to understand what is actually going on. But my perspective is a very American perspective. We're talking about not simply moral schemata here. We're talking about the behavior of governments whose only purpose is to protect their own people and to make their lives better. And what the United States is doing with Iran is not improving the lives of Americans. It's hurting Americans. Therefore, I'm against it. Now, Israel has a different view of its own self-interest, and that's okay with me. I just don't want to be involved, and I don't know why we should be. And maybe since you've taken the time to lecture me, you can answer this question. Why should the United States send any money to Israel? Why does the United States owe Israel anything? I don't understand this. What is the answer?
I think it's about interest, but I will get back to that because I want to ask you, we're still on the wars and your criticism of Israel. For example, in Gaza, have you actually labeled Israel as committing genocide? You said that.
Ethnic cleansing. Israel's trying to take the people who live there and move
genocide.
Them out.
You said about Israelis,
genocide, killing,
about the people,
killing
the
people.
state of the Jews. You said we are committing genocide.
Well, I've never said the state of the Jews is committing genocide. Israel is not the state of... No, Israel is not the state of the Jews. Plenty of Jews don't live in Israel. In fact, I think about half of global Jewry doesn't live in Israel, and a lot of them don't support Israel. So the idea that Israel, the government of Israel, is the same of as every Jew in the world is a lie. You know it's a lie.
Israel
and I don't think it helps anybody to tell that lie. Israel is killing innocents in Gaza, including children, and doing so on purpose.
That's your view, but about genocide, it's
not my view, it's a fact.
No, you were a journalist. Genocide is a precise legal definition. And when you applied to the killings of 1,000, which I regret, of course, and I understand your point of view.
How much do you regret it?
But the fact that you label it is...
You don't seem to regret it too much.
It's genocide. Isn't it wrong? We're not measuring my regrets. I'm only a journalist. But you said Israel is committing genocide.
What you're saying is, so Israel has murdered all these children, thousands of children in Gaza. But the real criminal is me because I describe that as genocide. Okay, it's not genocide. It's killing innocents. It's wrong. You can call it genocide or ethnic cleansing.
So you're not calling it a
crime, a sin, an atrocity. I don't really care. What I'm saying is murdering children is wrong. You're more upset by how I describe the murder of children than you are at the murder of children, which says a lot, I think.